Buddy, this is Cruising Chris M. Here I am going live just because I can. Well, Sea Lake Journeys is not going to go live for a little bit, so I figured I'd just jump in and kind of fill the slot a little bit. Tonight, I want to talk about cruising with allergies and sensitivities while at sea. I am one that does have some allergies, and it can be a challenge when you go to get on a cruise, and that's where you need to make sure you work with someone that knows how to deal with allergies. Hey, Lana, appreciate you coming in. Mandy, Scott, thanks for coming by. I appreciate it. This is just something that I'm going to try to do. This is a spur of the moment thing. I'm just going to go real short because I know the Nerd Herd's coming on here in about 20 minutes, so I do not want to go into their time. Nicole, thank you for coming by. But I want to talk about allergies and how people deal with them. I think the cruise lines, for the most part, do a very, very good job with allergies. And if anybody has any questions, go ahead and pop them in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer them. Hey, BTT, thanks for coming in. But with allergies, I do have seafood and shellfish allergies that I deal with on a cruise. And I've had very good success with working with the cruise lines. And I started with a travel agent who, did a very good job about, talking with me about, what I wanted to get out of my cruise experience. And then they did say, hey, do you have any allergies or anything like that, going forward? And I did say, yes, I do have allergies. And she took those down. And she said that she would send them on. And then she educated me about, when you go to different places, you need to make sure that you do talk to them about what you have. Scotty, thanks for coming in. But I'm talking about allergies and sensitivities while at sea. I know a lot of people do have nut allergies, and they do have sensitivities like to gluten and lactose and things like that. So I think it's very important that if you do have those allergies or sensitivities, that you do communicate. And sometimes that communication does not always get sent to the ship. It should be on your file when you go there, but sometimes there can be a lack of communication sometimes. All the cruise lines, for the most part, when you first sit down, especially at a main dining area or a specialty restaurant where you have a server, they will come and ask you, do you have any allergies or sensitivities? And that is the time where you need to advocate for yourself every time. And that's what I like about going to the main dining room as compared to going to a buffet or even going to some specialty restaurants where you're getting a different server every time, is they will get to know you and know what your allergies are. So, when I go in a main dining room, I get the same servers every night, and they know that I'm allergic to seafood and shellfish. So they know not to recommend and things like that. And my allergies have actually gotten worse over the years. So it has gotten to the point where I cannot even be around other people who are eating. Prime example, we were on the Carnival Horizon this past Christmas, and we were at a table for two. Or actually, we were at a group table on the Carnival Horizon, and I don't mind sitting at a group table. It was actually very nice to sit with everybody and get to know some other people. And it was the first formal night because it was an 8-day cruise, and my table mates all ordered the lobster. And as soon as it was served, I had to leave the room. And, the waiters and stuff like that, my wife did stick around to kind of let them know. But my waiters were really, confuzzled and confused about what was going on. And they were very apologetic and stuff like that. And they said, please come back, we'll take care of you, this and that and the other. And I was like, I really can't even, go to the dining room on specialty nights because of stuff like that. So they really do a good job of taking care of me. And I try to avoid that going forward on the formal dining nights because I do have lobster, and that's pretty much what a lot of people do like to get. On the Celebrity Apex, we had a table for two, and we were sat next to another couple, and on that night, they did order lobster, and we had to leave because my allergies started kicking in, so I had to go down and medicate for my allergy. And the waiters, again, were very concerned and confused And my wife did take care of it and let them know, and then they did seat us away from everything else, so we would not have to run into that again. So that was something that a lot of the cruise lines do. Um, so when I go to the buffet, you really need to be an advocate for yourself every time. And it's gotten to the point where sometimes when I see the chef as I walk in, and when that chef sees me, he'll come up to me and they'll approach me and say, "Hey, this is safe for you. This is safe for you. Stay away from this," and go from there. And oftentimes they will offer to make me something fresh and not get it off the line because you see a lot of times where you have the mashed potatoes sitting next to the fish sticks, sitting next to something else. And who knows if somebody would have picked up something else that would have been possibly contaminated. So that's sometimes what you have to do is really, really, really advocate for yourself. So those are the things that I really need to do with dealing with allergies and stuff like that. Now, I know with gluten sensitivity and stuff like that, you really need to order special foods. And as I said before, sometimes that ball can be dropped. On Celebrity, if anybody's ever sailed on Celebrity and you get the concierge suites or anything above a concierge level, you do get something delivered called canopies, which are basically like little appetizers or snacks, a little one bite, amuse-bouche kind of things that you get in the afternoon served to your cabin. And the first night we got little finger things that were pretty yummy, pretty tasty. Kind of a little bougie for me, but I'm not a bougie. I'm kind of a redneck kind of person, but I'll take it. And then the second night, I was down either in the casino or at the bar or something like that, and I come back. I go to pick up the lid. My wife says, "Don't touch that," and it was shrimp in there. So I called down to the concierge desk, who is kind of like guest services for the concierge level, and I said, I've got seafood and shellfish allergies. Can you please talk to the dining department so whenever they send up the other canapes that we don't have any that have any seafood or shellfish? No problem. We'll take care of it. So I figured it was all said and done. Well, the next day we come back to the room and our canapes are sitting there, and my wife takes off the lid and there's little salmon something or another on crackers with cream cheese or whatever it is, and it really kind of frustrated me. So this time I actually went down to the concierge desk because I was very polite to them because I know it's not their fault, and I said, "Are y'all trying to kill me?" Kind of in a joking way, but kind of a joking but yet serious, because it really, really did could have a very serious effect if I would have accidentally got some of that or anything like that. So it really does impact people with that. So they said, "Look, we promise we're going to take care of it, and we're going to go ahead and do all of that next time." And then from that time on, we basically had cheese and crackers, which for me, I'm a cheese and cracker kind of guy because, like I said, I'm not very bougie. Cheese crackers, a couple of grapes or something like that, and I was fine with that. I think my wife was a little upset, but that those are kind of the consequences that she has for being with me. Now, she does go ahead and get her seafood sometimes, but what they will do and what she does is she talks to the waiters in the dining room, and they will actually let her sit at a different table, and she will order her food, and then she will go off to a different table and eat her food, and then after she's done eating, she will come back and join me again for dessert. So that's how they handle that, and they are very very good about working with us for that. Hey, Zach, I appreciate you coming in. I know you got a show here in a few minutes, and I promise I'm going to be done before your guys' show starts. So, I just wanted to talk a little bit about, working with seafood allergies and shellfish and stuff like that. And I've sailed, I think, 5 different cruise lines. Let's see. I've got on MSC, Princess, Celebrity, Royal Caribbean, and it seems I'm Carnival. And I'm going on Holland America this summer, so that'll be my next one. And I've had very good success with a lot of them. I've only had one, and it's not really a bad experience, but I went to the buffet one afternoon for a mid-afternoon snack, and I approached the buffet manager, because they always wear gold coats up there. And I said, I'm allergic to seafood and shellfish. And he goes, oh, you can just go eat over there. And I was kind of put off by that. And then he just walked away. But usually the dining room manager will bring the chef out and talk to you, and and they will walk you through the buffet and say, this is good for you, that's good for you, and things like that. So it's because it's to the point where I can't even have anything that's deep fried in the same oil. So I usually try to stay away from French fries and stuff like that, unless they have a dedicated fryer, which I know Royal Caribbean does on their buffet. And and I think on Carnival at the deli, they have a dedicated fryer just for their French fries. They don't do any fish in there, and I do talk to them about that. So it's very good. Now, and there are some places that, I don't throw a fit and just say, oh, I can't eat there. And, right to John Heald because, oh, I can't go eat at the Blue Iguana because they, do their shrimp and everything on their grill. And, I really like tacos. Well, yeah, I really like tacos, but you know what? I am not going to impact someone else's experience just because I have an allergy. My wife puts up with it because she's put up with it for the past 35 years. But, we've found a way to make it work. So, she does what she does and I do what I do to make sure that I stay safe. And then on the other hand, you do have to advocate for yourself. I do carry my EpiPen. I do carry Benadryl, and that goes with me all the time. And that goes with me off the ship when we go into ports and everything else, because sometimes, in the ports, it's a little bit not as safe because, you go to some of these little local places and half the time they may not speak the same language or may not understand how severe it may actually be, or communication can be lost in the shuffle. So you really need to, really do a good job for yourself. Does anybody have any questions about traveling with allergies, or anybody have any stories they want to share about going with allergies or anything like that? But I do appreciate everybody showing up. Uncle Dave, I see you're in here. Nicole, appreciate you coming by. Anybody have any good, bad, mediocre experiences? But, Princess, I know, has done a real good job with it. I know if you ever do Celebrity, they do have the 4 different main dining rooms. And yes, it's nice to be able to get to the different main dining rooms because they do all have different things. But one thing you can do is no matter which main dining room you go to, you can order off of any other of the main dining room's menus, because one has like a Mediterranean fare, another one's Italian, another one is something else sophisticated, but they all come out of the same kitchen. So you can just tell your waiter, I'd like to see the menu for Normandy, or I'd like to see the menu for Tuscany. So they will bring you that menu so you can order off of one of the other places. And oftentimes, I am also kind of a picky eater. So oftentimes I will just get a cheeseburger or a grilled cheese. So, I find myself doing that quite a bit too. Because like I said, I'm not very bougie and I'm not very picky. But I do find myself trying different foods that are safe. So I have expanded my palate ever since I've started cruising. I've never tried Indian food until I first stepped on a ship. And, thanks to that, butter chicken is one of my favorite foods now. And we eat that probably at least every couple of weeks. And, we try to go get Indian food as often as we can. I mean, we live out in Podunk, Indiana, so it's not exactly we have Indian food, around the corner where, we've got a Mexican restaurant every other block, but we can go down to Lafayette and find some good Indian places where Purdue University is. So we do get a chance to go get that. And, we do that. Hey, Mickey, appreciate you coming in for Mickey's Adventures. Thanks for stopping by. So, anybody have any questions about food allergies or anything like that, or what you can do to help protect yourself while you're on a cruise? But the biggest thing is make sure you fill out that special needs form before you get on the ship, and then make sure whenever you go to a restaurant, you advocate for yourself. You find out who the restaurant manager is in the buffet, talk to them, and make sure that they do take the time to tell you what exactly is safe. And oftentimes they will take you around. I know Carnival does have that little stand, that little kiosk there, and they keep it manned whenever the buffet is open. And you can go there and say, hey, I'm allergic. And then one of the other advantages of what they do is I order I pre-order my meals in the main dining room for the night before. So after I sit down for that first meal, they will show me the menu for the next night. And then I will say, okay, I want this, and I want that. So that way they can say, you can have this and you can have that. And then if they need to do something special, like if a certain sauce is made with, oysters or something else like that, they can substitute or tell me if they can substitute or do something else for me with that. So, well, I appreciate everybody stopping by tonight. I do thank you for coming in. This has been a very quick live that I put together. Your friend does use a EpiPen, from opening her hotel room where it's been touched from someone. That's a pretty good allergy there. I've never had that bad of a reaction, but things like that, it can be challenging. So yeah, I do keep it with me, and it's always in my hip pocket per se. I mean, I don't carry it with me around the ship, but my wife is with me 99.9% of the time, and I usually get that tingling in the back of my throat when I'm around something that I shouldn't be around, or if I have something that I shouldn't be around. And there's only been 1 or 2 occasions where I've actually ingested something I probably shouldn't have. So, it's been a very good experience. It's been a very positive experience. So I think they do a very good job with you on the ship. And they do tell you that, hey, there are some places you can't go to. Like, I typically try to stay away from the Asian restaurants if I can. Definitely not going to go to a sushi restaurant. So when my wife wants to go to sushi, I'm going to the steakhouse. So, that's just one of the things that we do as a couple, because I know she does like to have sushi, and I'm not going to keep her from that. So, all right. Well, thank you guys for coming by. We got about 6 minutes till we go through. If you want to go to Zach's show at do the Nerd Herd, just do a CCM raid. That'd be greatly appreciated. I know I'm going to stop over there and stuff like that. I greatly appreciate you guys coming in. And, I'll try to come up with a better topic, maybe talk a little bit longer and get here a little bit earlier. But I just wanted to try to give you guys a shout out tonight and try to get this going tonight. And yeah, so yeah, those are some of the, natural reactions that we get with the allergy stuff. So Danny, appreciate you coming by tonight. Thank you for keeping everybody safe. You are our most valuable asset that we have in our chats and everything. So thank you guys tonight. Appreciate all of you, and make sure you stop by Zach's tonight. Go to Nerd Herd, do a CCM raid, Cruising Chris M raid, and we'll see you around the channel. Take care. See y'all later.